Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another episode of Overbooked, the series where I talk about every single book on my shelves because I was touched by a feather and now I am cursed. Today we are talking about A.M. Macklemore's The Weight of Feathers. Some quick disclaimers before we start. I bought this book myself. I bought it secondhand. I think I bought it from Wob. How fun. Nobody's paying me to talk about books and all opinions are my own. I'm also going to keep this as spoiler-free as humanly possible, though if you do want to go in knowing absolutely nothing, don't watch review videos. And lastly, there are some content warnings in this book. I would describe it as generational trauma and general violence. If you do not want to read those kind of things, I wouldn't skip this one maybe, but I'm going to be talking about them vaguely in the context of this video if you also want to skip this video. But I'll link the story graph below so you can check those out for yourself. I would describe this book as a magical realism book. It came out originally in 2015? 2014? I didn't check when I wrote these notes. 2015, there we go. And it is, of course, by A.M. Macklemore, who is a non-binary Latina author who has written quite a lot of things, many of which we're going to be talking about over the coming weeks of Overbooked. I hope you're excited. A.M. Macklemore is the author I've talked about the most on this channel this year, and also I think, other than K.A. Applegate, the author I've read the most books of this year because of my A.M. Macklemore read-along that I ran earlier in the year. But I'm excited to talk about each of the books in turn, give them their own little spotlight, and also in case anyone's searching for this video in the years to come. In this book we have two families, the Palomas and the Corbeaus, who both run different travelling shows. I can't remember which one does which. The Palomas are a mermaid show, and the Corbeaus wear wings in the trees. It's very hard to explain magical realism plots. You just have to trust me. But anyway, these families have been rivals for many, many years. And in this book, they are both in town, and two characters, Lace from the Palomas and Cluck, don't ask why, meet. And it's kind of a Romeo and Juliet-esque story, okay? I think it is a direct retelling. I'm not sure if that was the intent, but that is how it reads. And maybe it's just that Forbidden Love always reads as Romeo and Juliet. Maybe I'm being cliched. Maybe that's too Western of a spin on it, but that is certainly how I would describe it if I was pitching it to you in an elevator. And you would say, get out of the elevator, Judith. Why are you here? My first pro for this story is that it is gorgeous, gorgeous prose. A.M. Macklemore has wonderful writing in terms of their sentence structures. They're just the way they put words together is written so well. That's something we're going to encounter across these reviews. But I think that this has some of the most beautiful writing. We'll come on to some ones that I think have even more beautiful writing, but this is up there, and I think that's because of this kind of magical realism. We've removed ourselves from reality just a little bit, so it's all feeling a little bit weird and eerie and ethereal, and that just fits really well with this story. In some contexts I can find that kind of writing really wanky, but I think that the way the world is set up and the way that the magic is introduced and such, it just all really works. It didn't feel wanky to me. It might to you. To me it was just perfect. The other thing I really liked about this book is it's so emotional. There's so much emotion to it. There's generations worth of emotion in this story, and yet the book itself is so calm, and it's a really sort of the only way I can describe it is like a steady breath of a book. And again, I think that works really well with the type of story we're telling. And a lot of the YA that I've read recently, I should mention this is YA, has been very action heavy, and this is just a love story, and there is a lot that happens and a lot of emotion and a lot of trauma and a lot of drama and a lot of all of the stuff, but it doesn't feel like it's blaring in your face. It's just a book that sort of takes you on this flowing journey, and I really enjoyed that as a calm breath in a world of very hectic books. I also think the themes of this are incredibly powerful, and the generational trauma I've mentioned a number of times, it was really on my mind at the time when I was reading this back in January. I think the other themes of kind of, it sounds like really cliched themes, loss, love, forgiveness, I can't think of a fourth one, but they all come together in this really beautifully. It doesn't feel super cliched, but nor does it feel like it's just trying to do new things. It feels like a really honest book that's really earnestly exploring those ideas. Of course, if you don't like magical realism, and particularly in the element of not really explaining the magic that much, there isn't a hard magic system in this. It's not going to tell you this aspect of this is pure magic and this aspect is all for show. It's not going to do that for you. You kind of have to fill in those gaps for yourself. If you don't like doing that, or you're not in the mood to do that, I would put this one on pause. Maybe don't read this. I personally found that the more I read this, the more I got the hang of that. And this was the start of my A.M. Macklemore journey extravaganza. So I found it a little bit hard to adjust at the beginning, but I do think it was worth it in the end to get there, but just if that's something you don't enjoy, you might not enjoy this. And sort of similarly to the above, this leaves a lot unsaid. There is quite a lot that is said, but a lot of it is left for you to draw conclusions or just open as an ending, and if you don't love that, you might also not love this. But I don't think if you're going into this book, you should be looking for a book that's got a hard magic system or a lot of explanations. I wouldn't aim for that here. I actually think of all of A.M. McLemore's books, this is probably the least explicitly queer, which is interesting, being the oldest, and you can kind of really see that throughout their work, that building on those ideas, to the point where Laura's just like, here you go, you're having it, take it. Whereas this felt very much more subdued in that element. There is still a lot of diversity in this book. It's drawing a lot of, I think it's Romany tradition, but I'm going to check. Yes. So there is still a lot of elements of exploring racism and prejudice in this story as well. Hello. So I would say some of the hallmarks of A.M. McLemore's work are there, it's just less so than in later books. Under my comparisons notes I've written, just read more A.M. McLemore. No, really. I do think that A.M. McLemore's books are fantastic. Next week we'll be talking about When the Moon Was Ours, which I think is the most similar to this one, and I absolutely love it, so stay tuned for that, or if you're coming to this late, go and watch that now. There we go. I also think Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab is not magical realism, but it is a really lovely book that also kind of deals with some of these same ideas. And I think in tone they felt very similar to me, though Addie LaRue is modern and this is question mark time period. I think I'm comparing the two partly because they hit me in very similar ways. That's just me. Final thoughts. Should you read this book? I absolutely think so. This is one of the A.M. McLemore books that I would absolutely recommend. I'd recommend all of them, but some of them I recommend more than others. I'm so excited to be talking about them as an author again. Huzzah! It's going to be a wonderful few weeks. But yes, I do recommend that you read this. If you know me personally, I'll lend it to you. Don't you worry. If you have any magical realism recommendations, please plonk them down in the comments below. I would love to hear them. I am fully on board with the magical realism now. Yes, thank you. While you're down there commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated, and it lets you know when my videos are coming out, which is just wonderful. If you'd like, you can follow me on social media. Come hang out on Discord, where we have a nice chill time talking about books. Nothing makes me feel more loved and appreciated than my patrons over on Patreon, who support the channel and make videos like this possible. Thank you so much. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one.